Is this a congregation or a forest? I don't know. I'd like to start today with an old family story. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, my oldest sister, who had recently gotten her driving license, asked if she could take the family car and drive us younger kids to the beach, which, since we were in Rhode Island, meant the Atlantic Ocean. It was just 40 miles or so south of us, so off we went, and eventually we ended up on a lonely country road and had to stop to ask for directions. He was an old farmer, tending his roadside stand, selling sweet corn. "How do we get to Narragansett Beach?" "Well," he said, slowly shaking his head, "you can't get there from here." I stifled a giggle, and a smart aleck 8-year-old thought of course you can. This is the planet Earth. You can get from anywhere to anywhere. Thinking back over the years, I know what he was saying. If we kept going south toward the ocean, eventually we'd come to the bay, across the bay from the beach, and no bridge to get over. We had to retrace our steps. But it was a phrase that always tickled me. You can't get there from here. Besides becoming an old family joke, it ended up as a pointer to something that was useful in other cases. Like when I think of the journey, to be the journey to the freedom to be our authentic selves. Earlier, during the chalice lighting, Melissa read you the Metta Sutta, the discourse on cultivating a heart of compassion. I'd like to tell you another story about how the Buddha came to give this talk to his followers. It's a story that was told to me the first time I heard it, and it always seemed to me to be an important context for making sense of it. It goes like this. After teaching them spiritual wisdom and practices, the Buddha had sent the monks out into the forest to live alone and spend their time deep in meditation. But after a while, they came back to him, complaining that the spirits of the forest constantly interrupted their practice, harassing them, frightening them. His reply was not a particularly direct answer, it seemed to me. No stress release advice, no self-defense program, no change in diet, no pep talk about combating your fear. None of the things we might say to someone who tells us, "It's scary out in the forest." Instead, he says, "Here's what is done by people who are calm and peaceful. They are kind and loving to all people, regardless of who they are, good or bad, young or old, as kind and loving as a mother to her own child. Furthermore, they are kind and loving to all the animals and living beings around them." To me, this wasn't an obvious answer. To address your fear, practice kindness. Is that true? Does it work? And if it does work, why? It seems counterintuitive or mysterious to me. There doesn't seem to be any obvious connection. When I first heard the Metta Sutta from the Buddha, it reminded me of the verse in the Christian scriptures where Jesus says, "For anyone who wants to save his life will lose it. But anyone who loses his life for my sake will find it." To me, that's paradoxical. It's seemingly contradictory. The Buddha says if you want to be at peace, practice kindness. Jesus says if you want to be full of life, let go of it and follow me, which we know from the rest of the scriptures meant to love both God and one's neighbor. We can't directly change or remake ourselves into freedom, into peace, into a deep communion with the holy. You can't get there from here. You have to take some other path that may not seem to make much sense. And if you give everything to that, perhaps what you seek will appear on its own. So if you want to make an omelet, get a pan and crack some eggs. But if you want to know the freedom to be your deepest self, practice love. We're not talking about making omelets or building careers or roles, which are, yes, a wonderful part of our human life, but we are talking about the richest, deepest sense of peace and connection to the source of all life within us. Where do we find the freedom to be that self? And the answer seems to be in different spiritual traditions that you can't get there from here. You can't make it, produce it, create it. Perhaps there is no it at all. There is only that state of being, of freedom, of peace that is found by letting go and following the path of love that all the world's wisdom has suggested to us. Some things we pursue our goals and we work to achieve them, but there are other things that don't seem to work that way. Here's another example, happiness. Seems to me that happiness is something that cannot be created or produced. It's not an object like a house or a cake or a book that you can imagine and plan and strategize and work to make happen. Am I saying that we're powerless to find happiness? No, absolutely not. But I am saying that, at least to me, that happiness seems to be one of those things in life that come or arrive while you're doing something else. I'd like to suggest one way to understand this. There is the self or the life we construct, the one we think we are, the one we maintain and tend to all our lives, in our minds, in our head, an idea constructed of all those qualities we think will keep us safe, an idea where all we fear is stuffed out of sight. The self which is constructed of thought is always changing, the Buddha says. The Buddha says it's impermanent, something we delude ourselves with. What then is the self or the life, as Jesus called it, that is found when we practice life, love? Where does that peace originate that comes when we connect to each other with kindness? I'd like to suggest to you that it is our original authentic self, our original authentic state of being, and not a thought or an idea at all. It is just what it is. We are just what we are. What we are when love has cleared away the clutter. The qualities of the Spirit, like peace or happiness, are not something made or produced, but are the natural states of our deepest self. the self or the life that both Buddha and the Christ point the way to in their teachings. May we all be well. And now, our minister, who has been spending time at the General Assembly in Baltimore, has sent us a video on receiving the news of the war in Iran, and she asked that we play it during the service today.
Hi, y'all. It's about 2 in the morning, and I'm in a hotel in Baltimore at General Assembly. And as many of you will have heard by now, the U.S. has entered war with Iran. You may be feeling all kinds of things right now. I know I am. And so I'm just sending you this quick message since I can't be with you today to invite you to slow down. In the coming days, you may be feeling all kinds of things, but what can help is naming those feelings, right? So when you start worrying what might happen or thinking about the future too far or into scenarios, that's your brain trying to help you. That's your brain trying to say, I'm feeling freaked out and I'm trying to game out the situation so that I can be ready. That's your brain trying to be helpful. It's part of your brain, your lizardy brain trying to be helpful. But in order to wake up your front brain, it actually helps to name those feelings when you catch them. So when you notice that you're worrying, when you notice that you're feeling scared or angry, you just, in your thoughts or whatever, you just say worrying, anger, scared, or whatever it may be. And they have found that that action wakes up the more wise thinking parts of our minds. And that's what we need. That's what we're going to need. So I invite you to do that. I invite you to lean on each other. I invite you to call your senators and representatives, Marsha Blackburn, Bill Hagerty, and whoever your representative might be, depending on which district you live in. Keep calling them. You might consider going to their office. They have a Knoxville local office. Speak up. Start speaking up. Say, going to war for unknown cause, unclear cause. Well, you tried that pretty recently. Didn't go great. Maybe not. It's gonna be okay. We also know that. We have had to, unfortunately, get through a lot of tough times these last couple of decades, couple of centuries, and we do get through it. Humans can be so foolish and fallible, but we are also very compassionate, very resilient, and very wise. So that's what we need to channel. That's what we need to channel right now, is our compassionate, wise selves who know that we are connected. We are connected to all the people involved in these conflicts. We are connected to the parts of the earth that are being damaged in war. We are connected, and therefore we can take some action. We have agency, and that can help us from feeling any kind of hopelessness or worry or fear because we don't know what to do. You know what to do. David Savoy is with you this morning, and he's got a great, wonderful, calm and wise presence that I know he'll be sharing with you. It'll be okay. You've got this. We'll get through it together. May it be so.
Impromptu announcement at 1 o'clock today in the sanctuary. If you need a place to put those feelings, if you need to be with your people and feel that grounding and feel that sense of belonging to with our interconnectedness, I will be here at 1 o'clock, and we can do some breathing, we can do some anger, we can shout if we want to, but that'll be at 1 o'clock this afternoon. I hope you'll come and join us.